Here's my review of My Hero Academia, Chapter 251, Just 1 Week. It basically starts out by posing an interesting question. Basically, heroes are never actually supposed to kill the villains. Which makes a lot of sense, but I'd argue that's not a great rule to have. I mean, the villains are essentially literally living nukes. Feels a little too dangerous just to, lock them in jail. I kind of feel like death penalty should apply there. Just saying. Those does raise a lot of questions about, Endeavor killing Nomu. That's a big no-no in the hero, community, and yet everyone seems okay with that. No one really seemed to bring up, hey, did he really have to kill that guy? In fact, Endeavor even said, well, there's no chance of me bringing him alive, so I should just kill him right here and now. So, a lot of questions about that whole thing. About the morality of death penalty. Who has the right to actually enforce that? I mean, seriously, this dude right here was in jail for like 7 years for a violent crime that he committed using his superpowers. Kind of feel like that should have definitely been a life sentence, maybe death penalty. I mean, that would be a little too much, but definitely more than 7 years, just saying. Anyway, then Bakugo burst out of the car, so does everyone else. And I just gotta love the look on Ending's face, like, what the freak are these guys doing? And Endeavor's chauffeur, oh my god, this guy. He used the automated bag shooting thing that, of course, all heroes' cars have, which a lot of questions about why that's a thing, why heroes have the need to have their bag shot out like that. I mean, especially for Endeavor, I mean, he literally wears his suit, I guess, under his all the time. I mean, it's a full body suit, so yeah, I think it's just under his clothes all the time, more or less. With a mask in his pocket or whatever. So yeah, definitely a weird device. I still can't really figure out why they have it, but thankfully, Deku and the rest managed to get dressed in about all of 10 seconds. And I just really love this moment here where Endeavor is essentially frozen with fear and concern for his son. There's the fact there's not a whole lot he can do here without basically getting Natsu killed. I mean, he couldn't react in the right way without endangering his life or life of people around him, so he's basically trapped right where he's standing. Then we start to see the product of their training. For Shoto, it's charging up his attack and then releasing it all at once, allowing him to essentially melt the villain's metal bandages, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Giving him way more firepower and the ability to break through basically anything in front of him. For Bakugo, it's learning to condense his power, the explosion, to a small area. So he's able to fire it out quickly and basically move at supersonic speed to save Natsu. So, good for him. Also, I'm definitely saying this guy's got a quirk enhancer going on just because of how he's doing it. And he's controlling like 20 different bandages, metal things, whatever you want to call it once. And that each of them is able to pick up a car and throw it. So, yeah, that's way too much power for a regular quirk user. At this point, Deku shows off what he can do, using Air Force to fly into the air, and then for some reason, he's perfectly able to use his quirk. Yay! I mean, I don't particularly mind this because it's cool here, but still, it just doesn't really feel like it's earned. And he's able to make like a dozen whips here all at once, all of which are strong enough to pull up cars, and then he's able to slowly guide them down. That just feels too much at once. Like, if he'd managed to save one car and do this, I'd be like, alright, that's pretty cool. I mean, last time he used his quirk, he was able to stop a metal beam from hitting him, and even then he was filled with such overwhelming pain from it that it nearly killed him. And since then, he's only really been able to make it fire like a foot at a time. And now he's making like a dozen super strong ones that are several dozen feet long. It just feels a little unearned. I get, it's supposed to be him learning to do this naturally, him learning to control it, him learning to add on more and more processes to his thoughts patterns so that he can handle this while mid-combat, whatever. But I just think they overdid it a bit here. So yeah, they managed to take out the villain, and Endeavor is just so freaking proud of all of them. The amount of progress they made in just a single week, how much they've grown from having real-world experience. It's just absolutely amazing. It's really amazing how much they've grown, and like I said, I'm still a little iffy about how Deku managed to make this work. I'm hoping they have limitations or something where you can only do this like once an hour, or you can only make so many at a time or whatever, but we'll see about that. I'm definitely excited to see what they do with this moving forward. Like, how does power change? How does it grow? Now that he's essentially mastered this one, Is he gonna get a third quirk? What is that gonna be? I mean, he's supposed to have like another 6, I think. So a lot of questions about that. And honestly, at a certain point, I kind of doubt he's gonna be able to justify having 6 quirks without people asking some really serious questions. I also just love this hug that Endeavor gave both Natsu and for some reason Bakio. I guess he got like caught up in the hug. It only looks like those two, so I don't think all 4 of them, all the boys were involved, but that would have been funny. So yeah, next week, no idea actually. I mean, like I said, they've gotten these big, powerful upgrades, so I feel like they need time to use them. Maybe the next chapter will be them coming back on the weekend to keep working with Endeavor, showing off what they do, what they've learned, how much they've improved. I mean, technically, they did beat Endeavor to take out the villain. I mean, you could argue, he was just scared because his son's life was in line, but they definitely beat him. They definitely beat the villain before he could, so good on them. I definitely count that as a victory, even if it's a little asterisk next to that. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. What the heck's gonna happen next? Another villain, the sports festival, something with Eri. I haven't seen her in a while. The other students, yeah, we haven't seen them. I mean, the other students are still in their own internship, growing, improving, getting better for it. So it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how they've improved, how they've made their quirks better, how they've grown stronger. And fun if we actually got like maybe we'll be back in class doing an exercise, like 4 students versus 4 students, something like that, so we can better show off the improvements they've undergone. That's thoughts, but let me think about all that down below. And be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Until then,
Peace.